Hey guys, Mike here. Today, we're doing some guppy stuff to try and solve a problem that happens to, I think, pretty much everybody who tries to breed guppies in their main tank. Over here in our little guppy tank, we have a male and a female guppy, mom and dad, and there's a bunch of juvenile fish kind of swimming around in here. These fish have been breeding kind of a lot. There's been a few generations that pop in, but a common problem that I've had a lot of is the mom and dad, and now the juveniles, eating the fresh babies as soon as they come out. We always manage to get a handful, most of the time, that can hide and stay away from the hungry other fish in the tank, but I need a bunch of fresh baby guppies for some experiments, ethical experiments. I'll explain in a little bit. So what I'm gonna do today is take the mom and the dad out and put them into their own little tank where they can breed, and then we can take them out as soon as we see the babies, put them back in here, and then have the babies to raise up in that tank. That's gonna be a lot easier to do than having to monitor this tank, see the babies when they come out, and then go find them through all of this mess of sort of the ugly aquascape that this tank has become. I'm really looking forward to replacing that roll-up door because it has been a huge pain in the neck this winter. Where do we begin? All right, so this is where we're doing the guppy fry feeding experiment, and I want to have the mom and dad somewhere close. So I've already done a little bit of work here. We have the tank that we're gonna put them in. This is like, I think it only holds like 2 or 3 gallons. We need to prop it up. We have our light already in place. Let's clean this thing off a little bit. This is a pretty cool little shallow UNS tank that we had set up at the old house, and just looking at it right now is making me want to set it up as a little pond tank, but we don't really have room for it. So I think we're just going to use it for this for the time being. We'll get to it later. So there's our secret little guppy breeding station that we have hidden away in the tank stand. This is a little wobbly. You can fix that super easy though, not a big deal because again, this is only holding like a few gallons of water. We got the pad on there just to make sure the glass isn't scraping on each other, even though it doesn't really matter. It's both the bottoms of the tanks, not a big deal. Our light's kind of far away, but it doesn't really matter because we're not gonna be using an active substrate. We're not gonna be trying to grow plants in here. This is strictly for breeding guppies. This is the magnetic ONF puck LED that we did a little video on recently. Maybe that was just on Instagram or Shorts or TikTok. I can't keep track anymore. Because I like to be nice to my guppies, we are going to just fill this guy up, if I can get it in the tank, with a full jug of water. So that way when we put our mom and dad in the new tank, they're going into the same exact water that they've been in. I didn't quite do the math on that one, so we'll probably cut it with some tap water. So that holds 9,000 mils, give or take, which is 2.3479999 repeating gallons. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's just 2 fish. It should be fine. The adults are going to produce a lot more waste than, say, the babies, the fry, that we have up in here, but even these aquariums, without any kind of filtration whatsoever, with just the plants in here, haven't shown any nitrogen or anything that we wouldn't want in the water. So I'm confident that we can pull this off. We're gonna put in some extra stuff in here too as well, and we're just gonna keep an eye on it. If you do a good job of monitoring your aquariums and doing it often, then you just do a water change if anything pops up. Let's check our temperature here. I can't stress enough how awesome this thing is. I just recently got into using the infrared thermometers, and if you move a lot of water around or you do little projects like this, these things are awesome. So we do a check here. It's about 74, almost 75 degrees, which is room temperature in here, which is perfect. Now we need to pick out some plants because our guppies are definitely gonna appreciate that. All we have to do is come over here, scoop out some more Sylvanian duckweed, lay a couple of handfuls in here, maybe just one actually. We'll start with that. And then I need to grab some plants. So I was originally gonna use some moss, but as you can see, all my Christmas moss is pretty much dead. Excuse me, can I get in here, guys? I think we're gonna just opt for some floating rotala in this one. We'll separate the lead from these guys and just take a big handful. That should be perfect. That should be a perfect in the place of guppy grass for our guppies. Putting this in our setup is going to be perfect for a bunch of different reasons. So one, it's cover for the babies as soon as they come out. They have a place to hide and get away from their mom and dad that might want to eat them. Also, because this came from an already established aquarium, it has a bunch of really good bacteria on it. So that's another reason why we're not going to have to mess around with a filter on this thing. And even though we're going to be feeding heavy in here, I don't think we're ever going to see nitrogen or anything bad show up. Oh, and a third thing, if the tiny baby fry can't get little tiny baby brine shrimp in their mouth, which they should be able to do, there's a bunch of microorganisms already on this rotala, including some algae if you look really close, which our fry will be able to eat. Kind of sucks to have aquariums that look like this in your collection, but they could be really handy for stuff just like that. I think we're gonna snazz up the foreground though, because we have, oh geez, I don't wanna, actually no, we're not gonna use that. I was going to, but our Cluloaches are definitely making use of that. Maybe we can find some other stuff that will float below that rotala, just so there's a little cover on the bottom. How about this? Ooh, there's an even bigger piece. We'll take that. Give that to the snail that hitched a ride in here. We'll take him out, actually. Come here, dude. So we didn't dechlorinate the tap water that we put into this for a couple different reasons. The main one being that I'm blessed and have super awesome city water that is so low in chlorine that it doesn't even register on a test kit. And I think that's the actual only reason. Did I say two? If we were gonna dechlor it though, we would of course use our channel sponsor, Fritz. I like to just use a straight up dechlorinator. I don't need to have the complete or anything like that. I'm not worried about nitrogen. But here's a tip for you. If you have a big tank, this doesn't apply to what we're doing down here, the Fritz Pond Guard is the same product, it's just more concentrated. So I think a cap full of this does 20 gallons where the normal guard just does 10. And I'm gonna drop that. You can tell I use this stuff from how dirty the bottle is, am I right? So don't forget to check out Fritz. We got their products everywhere. We use a bunch of their stuff. I wish they made double French doors that could replace my roll-up door. That would be awesome. Waiting for fish that you want to catch come to the front is always a fun pastime. So we got the dad, he's there. Where's the mom? She knows what's going on back there, so she's staying back there. And we wait, and we wait. I'm feeding you. Yes, I'm feeding you. I don't have a net. No, we don't. Okay, we want to try and get both here at the same time. That would be nice. And of course we can't. Dang, she's ferocious. This is why it would be impossible to try and get the fry out of here, or just the mom and dad out when they have their babies. 20 minutes later, we have one. She's so smart. Oh, we got her, guys. Fish are always harder to catch when you bring the camera out. Welcome to your new tank. All right, mom and dad in. So we don't have any substrate in this aquarium for only one reason, and that is just the ease of getting the fish out of the aquarium. If you're gonna do a breeding setup like this and you wanna use substrate, you totally can. You can plant your plants, do whatever you want. I just did it this way because I thought, you know, if I change my mind and I wanna leave the mom and dad in here and take the babies out, it will just be a lot easier to get fish in and out of this thing if there's nothing down at the bottom. It also helps me to gauge how much waste has been produced in the aquarium, so it's kind of a win-win to not have a substrate. Now they're in a nice, quiet, peaceful, close quarters environment. Everything should be just perfect in here for them to do their thing. I'm no expert at breeding fish. I wouldn't even say I'm good at it. Whenever it happens for me, which it doesn't happen very often, it's all because the fish decided to do it, not because I decided I wanted them to. And so from that perspective, I'm pretty much a noob, but let's be real, guys. You can pretty much ignore all of the tips for breeding guppies because they're guppies and they just kind of breed like rabbits, right, friend? And there's a ton of information online about, you know, best practices and parameters that you want to dial in to get them to have really good spawns. But even if I don't do those things, and this goes for you too, you're probably gonna end up having your guppies breed. For example, I have pretty soft water. Guppies like their water to be a little harder, if not really hard. I could do things like adding crushed coral to the aquarium to help increase that and help them out a little bit, but I don't think I'm gonna need to. All I'm gonna do here, besides what I've already done, is just feed them a really good food and feed them more food because they're gonna need energy if they want to breed. So we're gonna feed them a bunch of frozen and live brine shrimp when we have that available, and then also throw in a bunch of legit fish food because it's really good food and we have a ton of it. It's right behind you. Doing that alone should help speed up the process of spawning. It might not necessarily increase the amount of fish that our female produces because maybe those parameters aren't ideal, but it's somewhere you can start, and I think it's easy and everybody can do it no matter what kind of water chemistry you have. And we're talking specifically about guppies here, guys. You know, other fish like the curries, we got those to spawn a few times over the years. Not really sure what I did. Never actually looked it up, but it could have been just the environment that they had in regards to the aquascape. There was enough hiding places, and we were just maybe feeding them more food than we thought we were. So again, not an expert here. This isn't an aspect of the hobby that I've been super interested in the past. I'm starting to get more into it though, but it's a fun journey. This is what fish keeping is all about, at least to me, is going through the different aspects of it and getting into different things that you weren't into in the past and just having fun. All that talk about fish food reminded me, guys, I have, how many bags is this? Like 30, maybe 40 of the bottom feeder 2-ounce bags that were sealed too low. So they're just annoying to open. It's the same legit food that's in our normal bags that are sealed properly. They're just annoying to open, and we don't want to sell these at the normal price. So to try and free up some space in my humble distribution center, we're offering these bags at like 40% off, and we're also doing buy two, get one free. So if you haven't tried legit yet, you got some bottom feeder fish, you want a really good food for them, this is a really good opportunity for you. Or maybe you're somebody that is down with the brand and you just want to stock up on a bunch of food. This is a really good time while supplies last, of course. I'll put that listing out of stock as soon as we, get really close to being out. I'm sure these are going to go probably in the weekend. I should probably mention the experiment at some point, since I'm sure not everybody has seen the community posts and some of the other things that I've mentioned about it, but we have our 3 tanks here. We have 4 fry in this tank, 4 in here, and only 1 in here. This is basically a preliminary study on the foods that we're choosing to look at. So obviously legit fish food. We have food X. We don't want to get taken out by big fish food here. And we have brine shrimp. So we only had 1 fish left over to keep the numbers all the same. And that's why we wanted to set up our little hidden guppy breeding farm down here so we could get a nice big spawn. We could keep as many of those fry as possible, and we could get more fish for another experiment. I'm interested in things like the overall appearance of the tank, how much food we put in equals how much algae, how often we have to clean the tanks or scrape the glass, and of course the size and development of the fish on the different foods, because that's super important. There's a bunch of other tips and best practices for specifically guppy, things that involve temperature, having specific ratios like 1 male to 2 to 3 females. We obviously aren't doing that. We're just working with what we have here. We're not trying to go for anything super crazy. I know these guys are going to do what I want them to with the conditions that we're giving them. One thing I am considering is trying to put a little bit of crushed coral in here to get that hardness up and seeing if that really impacts the spawn. But I don't know, we're going to let them do their thing this time. I'm going to get them out of the tank as soon as possible, see how many babies we get, and then maybe for the next time they spawn, we'll do that just to see how many more we can get. Kind of a fun little experiment. So yeah, guys, that is the non-professional breeder's opinion and method for breeding guppies. I'll be sure to update you guys on the community page, probably on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the, within the short form world when things happen in regards to our new fish and how we're gonna get the male and female out. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. As soon as they spawn, I'm gonna be checking on this thing like probably 5 or 6 times a day here once the female gets really fat. And then as soon as we see babies, we're just gonna take the mom and dad, put them back in that original tank, and then start rearing up our fry. But yeah, that's the video. I hope this helped somebody out there, got you on the right path. Thanks again for watching, guys. Thank you for supporting Legit Fish Food and the sticker store. I know you want some stickers, man. There's links in the description for all that stuff. Thank you for your support, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.